All right, guys, today we're going to work on cycles in the ecosystem. And the first one, just really quickly, is the water cycle. And you guys have probably been doing this since like third grade. So we're just going to do this super quickly. You know that the sun is what powers all of this energy, right? Is where all the energy comes from. For number two, creating clouds is condensation. And those clouds form after evaporation. Right? And then number four is precipitation, and that can be rain, snow, sleet, hail. And then five, which isn't really a good picture of it, I would include that with runoff and like water collection. So down into the water cycle, down into groundwater, down into ponds, streams, etc. Okay? And then that also includes transpiration, which is not included on this particular picture. Okay? All right, so guys, the two that are the most important in terms of biology are the carbon cycle and the nitrogen cycle. So what I'd like for y'all to do, if you have a chance, is kind of get a piece of paper and draw this along with me, or after you watch the re-recording, or however you want to do it, because that's the way it makes the most sense. Okay? So if you would have something like a circle, since it is a cycle, I need you to have some sort of plant on the left where 9 o'clock would be, some sort of animal on the right where 3 o'clock would be. Okay, and guys, I'm not an artist. That's exactly why I chose pictures off of this flip chart program. Okay, and then I need you to have the words oxygen and carbon dioxide on the top and bottom. Okay, and then as you guys are aware, I'm sure, that trees and plants give off oxygen, right, through photosynthesis. We take it in, and then the flip side of that is we breathe out carbon dioxide and they take it in. Okay, so then I'm going to add these terms here, photosynthesis and respiration. This is what makes the carbon cycle go round and round and round. And since the beginning of time, where plants and animals actually existed, this is the way it was. It was a nice, delicate balance. Nothing was a problem. Okay? Then, after the 1800s, when the Industrial Revolution took place, we realized we could burn fuel for energy, right? And a lot of things changed at that time. But the problem with burning fuel for energy is, which is called combustion, okay, it not only takes oxygen to burn things, but more importantly, it lets off a tremendous amount of carbon dioxide, okay? So what was this nice delicate balance for many, many years is now thrown off balance because of all the burning of fossil fuels, okay? And not only that, we're cutting down trees like it's our job. In fact, it is some people's job, right? If they work for Weyerhaeuser and things like that. So we are removing trees and burning fossil fuels faster than they can be replenished. All right, so that's one of the major problems with humans and the biosphere, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, so I just want to show you a couple more pictures of the carbon cycle so you can see that every picture of the carbon cycle is going to have similar things in it. So here's our plants. Here's our animals, here's our factory, right, increasing carbon dioxide, and this one adds an actual third thing in there, which I haven't talked about yet. One of the ways that carbon gets recycled into the earth is with death and decomposition. So this is supposed to represent that dead rabbit, and then his carbon material in his body gets recycled into the earth, and then of course over thousands and thousands and thousands of years this becomes fossil fuels, right? That's what we're burning currently, is like dinosaur remains and things like that. But again, the problem is we're burning them faster than they can replenish. Okay, here's one more picture of the carbon cycle. It's just showing you a different version of it, that it also occurs in the ocean. You guys know that 2/3 of our planet is covered with water, so the exact same thing happens there. See, there's your fish representing all the animals. There's your plant, your algae representing the plant kingdom, and that same cycle happens in the ocean. Okay, here's your animals, your plant, them becoming fossil fuels, and then of course we extract these fossil fuels, burn them with combustion, cars, factories, etc., and then we have a surplus of carbon dioxide in the air. Okay, now what kind of problems does it cause? Well, a lot. First of all, they think it's increasing our blanket that surrounds the earth. So global warming is what they are concerned about. Too much carbon dioxide in the air also causes acid rain, which is a problem for crops and things like that. Okay, and then of course they're worried about trees being cut down for this same purpose and for habitat destruction, which we'll talk about that on Friday. Okay. All right, so now let's move on to the nitrogen cycle. The nitrogen cycle has less to do with like environmental impacts than the carbon cycle and more to do with like farming issues. Okay, so again, if you're drawing it, just another circle, maybe on the back of your carbon one, that's fine. Okay, this one involves the soil and plants and decomposers. Okay, so I drew a little line to represent the soil. 77% of the air you're breathing right now is nitrogen. Okay, unfortunately though, you can't use that nitrogen like it is. You breathe it in and you breathe it right back out. So the only way that we can consume the nitrogen that we need is to eat it. Okay, and that's through the plants and animals that we eat. All right, so I've got a plant over here. I just copied a simple little bush. And then I've got an animal over here, and the reason I chose this koala is because she is poised just perfectly. I need you to put some waste down here because this is the important part here. Pee and poop. I need the little poop emoji here, but I couldn't find it. Okay? And then we're going to continue. This one gets complicated. So in the soil, we need some decomposers. So these squigglies are meant to represent bacteria. And that little guy there, I tried to draw a mushroom, okay, which both of these, if you remember, are fungi. And fungi, well, this is a fungi, this is bacteria. These are both decomposers, okay? That's what we need them for, all right? So let me further complicate it, okay? Now, all I did was choose a picture for the roots for this bush. You can draw some roots on there. I just chose them because this is very specific and this is the important part. Do you see how those roots look like they have little growths or nodules on them? Those are actually bacteria that fix nitrogen. In other words, obviously pee and poop contains poisons, right? That's why we get rid of them. That's why we excrete them. Remember our word from one of our first lessons, okay? So the bacteria and the fungi recycle this. They denitrify it. They take some of the nitrogen out so it is not as poisonous. Then the bacteria that live on the roots of most plants further fix the nitrogen so it is available for the plant to use. Okay, so let me further complicate it and add some arrows in here. So the first thing we need to notice is that the nitrogen is being pulled up by the plant. Okay, then I'm going to follow this arrow over. The koala is eating the plant, right? He gets the nitrogen he needs from that. He pees and poops it out. Now, if there's something that eats a koala, then they would get their nitrogen by eating him, okay? He poops and pees it out. Then the decomposers in the soil make it not poisonous. Then the bacteria on the plant fix it so the plants can use it again, and then the cycle continues, okay? And if you notice, there is one arrow going straight from the soil up and it looks like into empty space, okay? One cool thing about the nitrogen cycle is that nitrogen can be returned from the soil to the air by lightning strikes. I had no idea until I read that in our biology book. Okay, all right, so I just want to show you that no matter what picture you see of the nitrogen cycle, you're going to see similar things. There's a plant, there's an animal that eats the plant, it shows the animal releasing waste and decomposers breaking that down, and then the roots fixing the bacteria so the plant can use it again. Okay, same thing. And then here's another one, and I like this one because it actually shows the lightning here. Okay, plants, animals, waste going into the ground, ammonia, nitrates and nitrites being fixed by the decomposers in the soil. The bacteria on the roots of the plants fix the nitrogen so the plants can use it again, and the cycle continues, okay? Now, I actually like this picture here because it includes something that humans have impacted the nitrogen cycle, which are crops, right? Obviously, you guys know Pamlico is a pretty good farming community. There's farms everywhere in Pamlico, right? And farmers have to supplement their crops with fertilizers and different things. And one of the main components of fertilizers is nitrogen. So if a farmer puts the fertilizer on the crop and then there is rain and it runs off, this can end up in ponds and lakes and streams, and it makes them look like this funky greenish blue color, which a lot of people find pretty. But then, obviously, where there's a lot of nitrogen, you're going to have a lot of plant growth. So a lot of times the pond will get like what they call an algae bloom, and then it can actually kill the fish and stuff underneath there. Okay? All right, so one more nitrogen cycle: plant, animal, waste, decomposers, fixing the nitrogen into something that the plants can use again. Then it gets recycled back into the plant, and it goes over and over and over again. Okay? All right, so that's the end of our lesson on cycles today. So I need you just to fill out the form and do the little web quest sort of thing that we have for that, and that'll be it. And then we have one more lesson in ecology on environmental impacts and invasive species, and then we'll be ready to move on into evolution. Okay? Hope you guys have a great day. Make sure you email me if you have any questions or concerns, as always.